An interesting day in relation to, or 24 hours in relation to the Harry Kane situation, because it broke very late last night that it's been rescheduled now, but Daniel Levy was going to meet with Bayern Munich representatives in London today for a face-to-face meeting. There's talk of a 100 million euro bid, so about 85, 86 million pound bid. And there is now, and you've seen it from Tottenham fans with the way that it's his birthday today. They're all saying happy birthday, but goodbye, and how sad they are. There seems to be a real realization amongst Tottenham fans that Harry Kane is looking like he is going to leave Tottenham Hotspur this summer and make a move to a whether it's Bayern Munich, whether it ends up being a Man United, but he's going to go to a giant club. Like, what is your take on this current situation, bro?
Look, when you first asked me about this regarding Harry Kane like 2 months ago, I feel like Harry Kane is just stuck at Tottenham Hotspur, and people, myself, for example, I don't look at Harry Kane any differently, because I don't care that he didn't win a trophy, because I wouldn't really blame it on him. But other people, and maybe himself, when he goes, towards his cabinet and he sees nothing there, like there is just zero trophies, like there are players who missed out on certain trophies, like R9 didn't win the Champions League, Gerrard didn't win the Premier League. We could give plenty of examples, but at least they won other things. The problem is with Kane is he's just like, he doesn't actually have any medal in his closet. For me, I look at his situation. If I'm in his place, I'd genuinely make the move to Bayern Munich. And the reason why I say that is I think his legacy in the Premier League is cemented in place. And at the same time, he wouldn't do anything against, the club that kind of took him in and gave him all this time and money and etc. And let's be honest here, let's everyone just cut the crap. It's a guaranteed title for him. He's guaranteed to win the Bundesliga. Let's just stop acting like, oh my God, he's going to go there and suddenly Dortmund are going to win it. They're going to win the Bundesliga. And Bayern Munich this season, as bad as they were, with Choupo-Moting as their striker, won the Bundesliga. And actually, they haven't replaced Lewandowski. From their perspective, you actually really are replacing Lewandowski with Harry Kane, who's going to go in there. And Harry Kane knows where the back of the net is. And in the Bundesliga, it's the perfect league for him. He'd score easily 30 goals in the Bundesliga. And I think he's guaranteed a Bundesliga medal. And he doesn't piss any Tottenham Hotspur fan off either, because he didn't go to any other Premier League club. So I think it's kind of win-win, and it's a win for Daniel Levy as well, because Daniel Levy don't want to sell to the Premier League. The Bayern Munich solution, I think, is probably the most ideal solution for everyone involved in that entire situation.
Mate, listen, I agree. If you're a Tottenham fan, you definitely want him going to Bayern Munich, because look, Spurs might get back into the Champions League in the next 3 to 4 years. They may not. So they may actually never come up against him. So there's no capacity for Spurs to be damaged by this. Equally, I think you're right. I've seen a few people kind of tweet out that, Harry Kane thinks that people are going to respect him if he picks up a few pointless Bundesligas. And personally, I think that's a projection, and people have done this to Harry Kane his whole career. It's a projection of their own inadequacies, fears, and sort of biases, really. Season 1, when he broke in at Tottenham, everybody called him a one-season wonder. Then it was 2-season wonder. Then they said, could he score goals in the Champions League? Then they said, could he do it in the big games? I remember there was a time where he hadn't scored against Man United. He hadn't scored away from home against a few of the big teams. And he's kind of the only box he's never ticked individually is scoring in a final. He scored in the semi-final for England, if people remember right. So he's done a lot of things. He's ticked the majority of the boxes, but he's 30 years of age and he's never picked up any silver, and he has to do that. If he goes to Germany and scrapes 15 goals a season, I'm just talking out maybe a little out of turn here, and wins trophies, nobody will respect it. But I was just looking at the most goals ever scored in Bundesliga seasons. 30 goals has been done 4 times, as an example. A couple of people on 31, there's a couple on 34. Like Robert Lewandowski's in the top 10 like 3 or 4 times with 34, 35, and 41 goals. I think Harry Kane's got the technical ability to go there and maybe not break the record, maybe not go and get 42. But I believe he can go and have a 30, 33, 34, 35 goal season record, which whether people want to whether people want to turn around and say it's a crap league or not, if he goes there and he starts scoring numbers which put him as, even in a short period of time, he's seen one of the best goal scorers in that league ever. He will win a major league. And on top of that, with him in the side, it would have been a very different game when Bayern Munich played Man City, especially the first leg where they had opportunities, but they didn't have a bagsman to put them in the back of the net. So as long as they don't lose too many other players, and they bring in a Kyle Walker as well, which they're looking at, and a few other players, suddenly they have a team that we know can compete for the Champions League. And that is where maybe a genuine legacy that everybody would respect would come from. Because if he goes to Bayern Munich and wins the Champions League, well, you also know they're going to win the league, which means they're at least doing a European and Champions League double. They invariably win the National Cup as well. So essentially, if you win the Champions League with Bayern Munich in 2023, 24, 25, one of those years, you're basically going to do a treble. Then what he can do is come back to England, in my view. If he goes there in 3 to 4 years, wins 3 or 4 titles, 3 or 4 cups, and maybe a Champions League, he's only now 49 goals away from Alan Shearer's record. He could probably come back to the Premier League then at 33, 34, do 3 or 4 seasons, as long as his body, and break that goal scoring record. That is what he can do, because he doesn't look to me like he's slowing down. He isn't based on pace. He'll keep going. However, all that's true. For me, when it comes to Harry Kane, I want to see Man United move on this. And I am still, this is not based on anything a journalist has said. I felt it all summer. I think Man United are waiting in the wings to step in when Bayern Munich are very close to an agreement. I felt that what we're doing is almost, if we're spearheading this negotiation, the premium's going to go up. Now, we know they're going to add money on top for a Premier League rival to try and sign him, in my opinion, maybe 15, 20 million. But if Bayern Munich can get a deal agreed for 85 million, great. Then you add, say you add 20 million onto that, it's 105. I think if we were pushing the negotiations, the deal would end up the baseline might go up as high as 100. Then they add the Premier League tax on top, and you're looking at 120s. And £20 million is a lot of money. And I keep reading certain stories of Man United. And even when it comes to the Amrabat deal, it's very carefully worded by the likes of Fabrizio, where it's, oh, he's really on the list and the club really like him. But Fred and McTominay and people have got to leave first. And I just think that's what Man United are also doing. It's almost biding our time. And our sales are now starting to pick up. And I want us to move for him, because just see, Harry Kane is the difference between us pushing towards a title charge this year and being in a title race. Harry Kane comes in, irrespective of Højlund, and Man United will be challenging Man City for their Premier League title this year, in my opinion. And I'll be, as a Man United fan, I would genuinely be devastated if he ends up at Bayern Munich, because I've wanted Harry Kane now for 7 or 8 years at Man United. And because of the poor running of the football club, we've never been in a position to sign him. I've always felt if Man United was still challenging for titles and Fergie was still here, Harry Kane would have signed for Man United 5 years ago. I just believe he looked like a Man United player in every single which way. But because of how terrible we've done up until now, we haven't been able to get him. And it's almost right love, wrong time sort of thing. But look, I hope Man United can do a deal. I hope Man United can hijack this. We haven't had a big hijack yet this summer, but that's what my heart wants. My head tells me he's going Bayern Munich. That's what my head's telling me.
I've got a different opinion when it comes to England. If I'm in, if I want to stay in England, I'd do the Sol Campbell. Sorry, Spurs fans.
Ooh.
I'd move to Arsenal Football Club. I said this yesterday on Spaces, and I've said this on the channel before. I think Harry Kane moves to Arsenal Football Club, he wins them the league 100%. As soon as Harry Kane steps foot to Arsenal Football Club, they're immediately title favorites. And I think if they do if he does the Sol Campbell, of course the Tottenham Hotspur fans are kind of gonna, we probably want him dead or something. But from his perspective, I think a move to Arsenal or City obviously is pointless because they got Haaland. But a move to Arsenal, honestly, would probably win him a English Premier League. Because if you've got the likes of Saka, Martinelli, Kane, Odegaard, Rice, Partey, all in the same team, that team is going to be wild. And for me, the only problem with that is going to be Daniel Levy probably ask Arsenal for 200 million if they came in for Harry Kane. So Harry Kane has got a lot of decisions to make because he could be the guy that kind of controls his own destiny. Because if he just sits on this contract that expires next summer he could actually move to any club he wants. Next summer he's a free agent. He could sit there, he could meet with 5, 6, 7, 8 clubs and decide like, okay, I want to go here. No, I want to go here. No, I want to go there. So it's kind of an open season for him. But I think if he does go to Arsenal currently constructed, they win the league immediately. He takes them to that level.
I think, and this is the thing, he spoke recently about winning trophies and wanting legacy. Look, it'll kill his legacy with Tottenham if he does that. Tottenham fans will. I've been at events where Sol Campbell's been there and seen Tottenham fans give him crap 20 plus years later. They still haven't forgiven him. They never will. But he won't be. A few people in the comments saying they'll kill him. No, they won't. He won't be physically hurt over this. Football fans are generally not that stupid. But if the legacy in the game that Harry Kane will have, irrespective of what he wins and scores, he'll always be remembered for it. Sol Campbell, there was a time where he was the best centre-back in the world. He was an invincible. He won multiple trophies. You know, powerhouse in the England team. But Sol Campbell, in my opinion, even with Arsenal fans, I think their biggest love for him is you left Spurs for us. And Arsenal fan base is, in my opinion, I reckon globally is 5 times plus the size of Tottenham's. 5 times easy, if not more. And it is potent and it's noisy. And if he does that walk across the white-red divide in North London, he almost becomes a hero without even scoring a goal. If he then helps Arsenal win major trophies, they listen, I genuinely mean this. If he went to Arsenal and spent 4 years there and won them a Prem or 2, maybe even a Champions League, but left Spurs for them, I've got a bold statement on this. I think Arsenal fans would love him more than Henry. I think they would love him more than Henry, not because he's a better footballer, maybe, but just because it's the story. It would be he left our biggest, most bitterest local rivals without a trophy. He came here and he helped make us the best team in England.
Thierry Henry, Terry. Titi.
No, genuinely, listen, I just mean it's the story, and maybe not to the older generation, but definitely the new, younger generation. Listen, there are Arsenal fans right now who are in tears because Xhaka left, because they've never seen a better midfielder at their club up until maybe now with Partey and Rice and everybody else, because they've gone for a 15-year period where they haven't been good enough. There is definitely the younger generation that would, but there's something about it's like this, right? Let's just say, I don't know. I'm trying to think of a player at your club. If Mohamed Salah left Liverpool now and joined Man United and helped us win a Premier League title, in 1 or 2 seasons, he could eclipse certain legends of our club in terms of how much we love him because he left you for us and then won us something. It's the story of it. Does that make sense? And honestly, a lot of Arsenal fans may not agree, and it's all hypothetical, but I'm just saying when something like that happens...
Would you say you love Salah more than Rooney then, based on that? Because of the extra hatred?
Do you know what? That could happen. It could happen. They say in life, the closest emotion to hate is love. They say there's not a lot of difference between love and hate. And Arsenal fans hate him. And they hate him. Harry Kane is probably the most hated player within the Arsenal fan base. So suddenly, if he becomes your hero, that hate is then echoed in love, which makes him one of the most loved players in the fan base. And it would just irk. It's almost these things. It's like Robin van Persie. Robin van Persie, look, he's not above certain striker legends, but in 1 season, leaving Arsenal to come to Man United, he'll be a legend forever at the club. He became a legend because he left Arsenal, joined Man United, won us the Prem, and they had to give us a guard of honor. He had basically 1 good season, and that was 10 years ago now, and I'm telling you, Man United fans will remember that season in 50 years' time. That 1 season because he left Arsenal for us. Imagine it with Tottenham, Arsenal, becoming the Premier League's highest goal scorer. If he went to Arsenal, trust me, maybe not all, but a big percentage, 30-40% could end up loving him more than they love Henry. Especially the younger ones. And listen, I don't want to see him go to Arsenal because it makes them even more dangerous. But there is this sort of sadistic part of me that wants it to happen just to sit back and watch the fallout. I just want to watch it. From a social experiment.
The internet would break. It would break if that happened. Honestly, the internet would actually break if it happened. I don't think people are ready. I'm not ready because I don't know what the hell's about to happen if that actually happens. Genuinely, the internet's gonna break. You're gonna have to find every single Spurs fan, go probably knock on their door to get them on the terrace because they'd all be hiding. All Arsenal fans are probably gonna try come on at the same time because it's gonna be such a massive thing. But I agree with a lot of what you say. But when you say Thierry Henry, I'm like, no. Thierry Henry is the greatest Premier League player of all time, and I think the love for that level of player is a bit different. That's like, kind of you with your greats, like a Ferdinand, like a Dennis Irwin, players like that, like the absolute elite of the elite for you guys.
Do you know what it is?
I hear your
Ryan Giggs is probably seen by not by the younger fans, but by the older my generation and older. It's probably looked at as him. Sir Bobby Charlton, maybe I didn't watch Sir Bobby Charlton play. For me, Ryan Giggs is the greatest player we had. Not the best player we had. Ronaldo was better than him at his peak and the greatest and everything else. But as you say, if Mo Salah left Liverpool, run his contract down 2 years ago, joined Man United, and we won 2 or 3 Prems, a Champions League, he dunked on Liverpool, there is a chance, especially for the younger generation, that they would love him more than Giggs. Because it's the story, the arc of it.
No, that's true. That's true.
And there's so much. And again, I'm only saying this because I remember Arsenal fans my age. If I turned around and said to them, best centre back or your favourite centre back at your club throughout the 90s and noughties, a lot of them picked Sol Campbell and not Tony Adams. And Tony Adams, when you look at his body of work, he was Mr. Arsenal. But I think because of the way Sol Campbell left and joined them and what they won, a lot of them see him, and it is generational and it changes. Again, people, Man United fans I know in their 70s, who the best players played for us? None of them. Some say Giggs, but most say Jules Best or to Bobby Charlton or Dennis Law. My generation, it's always a Giggs or a Scholes. The younger generation now, like the 18-year-olds, who knows? My son, Bruno Fernandes, he's his favorite player. Who's your favorite Man United player ever, son? Bruno. But he's 8 years old. He doesn't remember watching. He wasn't alive when our legends were playing. So he isn't going to, and he isn't, listen, fans pretend this. No Arsenal, no Man United, no Liverpool fans going to go back and watch like 20-year-old seasons and watch all the games, 90 minutes and fall in love with those players. No one's going to do it. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with this deal when these stories kind of take place.